across Miramar, we saw 2 seconds and a first, all back to back. Like the first 3 games, bang, they were on it. They were absolutely on point. Since then, we've seen 15s, 14s, 12s. Like, we haven't seen them. Things just have not gone well for QM whatsoever. So I want to see some return to form. I want to see that greatness, the small shining bits of light that we saw from them yesterday. If they turn face now, like
if they vanish to DA, I give a pinch of salt to DA. Where do you sit on the DA front? Because I want your opinion on this. Because again, for me with DA, excuse me, hitting my microphone. It's old age. The hand-eye coordination goes down. But with DA, I give them a little pinch of salt because they're still a relatively new squad. However, someone I don't give a pinch of salt to would be Fex, who's arguably one of the best players in the world. I would put up there. That's just been called up by Dannymon. Are they gonna have? Imagine they have the back-to-back. Imagine it.
But we all know that sometimes world-class teams, when they're put together as such, it doesn't necessarily pay off. I'll hold on this one because this is a pull-up. Absolutely, there's nowhere else for
VP and
BBL to turn from, and VP have essentially got to take the fight. If you pull away from this, VP will move forward and they will shoot you in the back. A few of them might be able to skirt the edges, but they have to do it. So flashbang in, first one looks away and turns. Oh, it's a bit of a whiff. It's a bit of a whiff. That's really not something we see normally out of Perfectix at all.
Lose down as well. This is something out of the ordinary for sure. Like, BBL are great, but catching VP like that, they seem all too aware. Spyro's down, BatulinS. It's over.
Wow.
It's over. I mean, credit to BBL managing to keep that pretty much as clean as possible. Breaching like that, I'm going to say it, Perfectix had a nightmare in that. Turned the flash, or tried to, came back, and just missed the shot.
If there's a team that excels, though, let's be realistic here. If there's a team that excels in not necessarily unwinnable situations, but still confident in their ability to react to situations that are just presented to them, even if not by themselves, that kind of scenario, Lauren, I put it in their favor. It's weird to see VP going down in such a rather easy way, to be fair. But still, accreditation where it's due, BBL slapped him.
But again, the options will become very limited if this does hard shift. Because as much as there is playable area and a couple of compounds on the outskirts, the viability, not looking likely. And I even see Na'Vi going for a 2-2, so actually splitting the road themselves. Mellman and alya are going to play to the northwest side of Water Treatment, and it's gone slap bang, almost northeast, right? Look at the slice that's been cut off here, Rich. And this cross is pretty dangerous. No one's quite on the outskirts, apart from Exhalation playing that little compound just towards the southeast side of Water Treatment. DA is going to get themselves together. That's a really powerful compound they're going to hold. ENCE, slightly further north. FaZe can just shuffle in. Going to have to be careful of those long rotation teams, though, like TM, for example. They've had a taste of that FaZe blood, and they might want some more. And again, that east side is going to get very busy. It'd be very rare for teams to send it full straight through this, like actually Galacticos are doing. There is that road there they can traverse. It is a little bit of cover on either side, but I don't know how many teams can do that. The others will be kind of cresting around the slower side of the circle.
This might be playable for them. We'll seat them in a very solidified position above Galacticos. I'm looking for a commitment, and I'm not seeing any just yet. The problem for ENCE is, and this is why they'll keep Squeaky back, is they know they've got QM on the foothills somewhere lurking. They don't have the full information just yet. You won't be able to see that. The first nade comes through. The first frag will be found, down on his knees, begging for dear life. BBL's also going for a send in the back lines. You've already done it once. Can you do it twice, Lazar? Finds Qwizzy heroic. Not fearing any better, these two teams have fought each other simultaneously several times now within these lobbies. Beamy's going to look over this and sees Lazar if he responds. That'd have been there was no connection at all. Unless Beamy was just shooting for someone else over his shoulder, then he won't have the full information of where he is just yet. He's in the car, he's gone from this. Heroic are forced to run. And running at this point is difficult because there's not much really in front of them that you would call prime real estate. There's survivability, for sure, don't get me wrong. But they are so spread here. T-Bone's out on a limb left in a broken compound. Page is getting closer to Team Liquid. Galacticos is just burning away from another molly.
They're trying to push, but look at it. As soon as they try and get towards ENCE, you've got another team to you. Jembty was the one to find that. This hill is so visible if you're trying to just get up towards taking a fair fight on ENCE. Rustanmar's actually pushing down on it, which is more surprising because he could get a bit of damage now. Jembty not as sharp that time on the shot. Only a little bit of damage done. Does get a second, a third, but it looks like ENCE is safe now. They've been able to deal with that little bit of a push that was coming up towards the crest there.
ENCE kind of has to get rid of them, just because they've had Fate on the entire time, lingering just below them, waiting for the call to come through and push QuestionMark into that territory. You've also got TM, who maybe will have to come forward eventually. So ENCE's position, while it's good, it's not out of the woods just yet. Na'Vi would assume it doesn't go water treatment, that'll be pushed further into the fray of all these fights that are unfolding within the middle.
Ooh.
It keeps the front side of it in, and that's fine. Mellman can probably chill for now, and they can use that as a stepping stone, but DA, BBL, like, pretty much prime territory at the moment. Not a bad shout from Vanir also. We haven't had any further teams go down since we saw VP at the start, and we said the East is the East is continuously backbuilding. We have all those teams just scattered amongst one another. Well, no, it's not just the East anymore, it's the West also. There's only 5 teams in this circle. Everybody else has to come forward.
So this will be where everyone dies. It is normally the circle that has been the death circle pretty much in the last couple of games especially. We had 1 player dead prior to that in the last game around the 6-minute marker, 16-minute marker, and now similar scenes, but obviously we do have the fact that VP are just wiped, which was the craziest part to me. Now, Liquid made the move quite early on prior to SMB Heroics. So the East, they've shuffled in on. They will have to be careful that other teams will be encroaching behind them. It's that north-northwest side, Rich. I'm worried about that. ENCE, QuestionMark, TM, Gear Up, FaZe, Na'Vi to an extent. They do have Mellman with a foot into the circle, so they could lead towards that. But this isn't a clean run. There is at least decent cover on the way in, right? You can at least kind of like, you know, try and work your way around. But yeah, ENCE have good vision on this.
It makes it more important why it would have been so viable to try and overextend and remove Galacticos from play to give yourself a stepping stone to head forward in this. Because ENCE still have to be aware that they're lingering somewhere in the distance. I'll hold for a moment because we do have utility being cycled, side of Gear Up. They've made note of FaZe's position. Gustav just holds the trigger down and lets the nade do the rest of the job for Face. Here he comes. Shotgun, are we looking for it this time round? Probably a bit of a shy too far and a shot in the dark given the distance he has to play with. But nevertheless, Scar in hand, Mini on the back, finds BSD. That should be a confirmed knock. Yes, it is, to the face. Thank you very much. SKUIJKE, though, in the distance. Gustav was laying down and maybe overstayed his welcome. He also had a nade in hand, which actually kills him inadvertently. That is devastating for FaZe. They were trying to wrap on this, but they've just been caught in the middle of an absolute bloodbath. This is disastrous.
The entire north is going to be a disaster. FaZe and Aitzy are still alive, but it feels like a matter of time. They've got Gear Up on one side, TM on the other, and then QuestionMark waiting. So I don't think anyone walks out from this cleanly. It's just everyone taking chunks out of each other. Aitzy, what can you do? What can you do with this? No one's giving you an easy option here. Kind of in the blue. FaZe, similar positions any second now. He's not going to be quite in just yet. Trying to create a path for him to run in towards at least, but Schofield trying to close that gap. It's Rustanmar who's still finding shots here. If ENCE keep this position, they have shuffled in. Not going to ignore them at this point. Aitzy just about gets it over the ridge, so he might be able to work his way in. And he's slowly but surely doing it. I'm quite surprised. Rupture is still around them, though. So Rupture could be a bit of a nuisance if he does get maybe an angle, bit of a moment. Let's see if ENCE can still keep themselves going in the right direction. Tiikzu is taking on Momi on the top towards the hill, but it's actually SKUIJKE to die. This is now awkward situations beginning, problems starting to mount. Ark's going to be looking towards the compound, spots out Diggory, nade now primed. Got another to post as well if he wants it. Gets that AK locked and loaded though, going to try and get the spray down. It is going to be Gear Up going down to FaZe, but it's going to be further problems beginning for ENCE. Tiikzu now lost. All of game are just ripping away all chances that ENCE had. I thought they were in prime position, but somehow FaZe looking like they're in a better spot at this point. But still, Aitzy did go down basically to the blue at this point. He was in there so long. Well, Drill is still alive. Now, QuestionMark being eliminated is the interesting one, because they were deeper in the circle. It's TM to remove them, and there it is. Wiped out, gone. ENCE removed. The Finns fall. And I'm a little surprised at that. I thought they were primed and ready to go. Rustanmar on Overwatch, the rest of the boys pushing up. Not to be, but Na'Vi's attention is now drawn. Or at least should I say Alya's. And also Galacticos are looking this way.
Salek just put the last of Heroic down with a AWM, so keep that in the back of your mind. We do have the Green Machine lurking in the distance. What's left of FaZe Clan in the form of Fuzzface tries to wrap on the back. Jeemzz has hit the wall. Flamey down, which is a good sign of things to potentially come, but Laz is in the distance, and unfortunately Ibi was cooking an aid in hand. Does lose his life, so Clib will just go and pick up whatever utility he can off of his fallen comrade's body. Maybe try and use the smokes to build some sort of a wall between him and the oncoming team from behind so they can take this fight cleanly against Vanir. For Na'Vi, they realized there is a team all the way up the hill, and you could see they were trying to get involved, maybe throw some nades their way and finish off and get the third party going, but sadly it was not to be. Now they have to fight them at the open. They have at the bottom of a hillside as well, so it becomes that much more difficult. Fuzzface is just like, well, I'll do whatever I can, boys. But Yuri getting knocked and flushed. Well, that's one of the players up on the high side of the hill, but he is caught regardless. Kark sees him. And now this run just gets all that much more harder.
There's still 11 teams here. There's way too many for the circle, but this, I'm going to throw this out there. DA, they're in the best position at the moment. They hold such a strong place in the same, I guess, to Vanir, but they have Liquid at the doorstep. I'm not so into that. Alya with a great catch on the push-up coming out of Hall of Game. It was a desperation play, so they're just taking high risks. Fuzzface unleashes Fury, only to find two. A valiant attempt, but not enough to take down TM on the other side. But BBL are going to be almost entranced by the concept of the push on that. Na'Vi now under severe scrutiny. Thendalos going to make the push just at the timing being right there. Going to catch Mellman trying to work his way forward. And Na'Vi have to leave him behind. Surely, no, they come back around for this. Thendalos, good nade maybe, but he's in the blue. He's just being melted down. He does get Alya with him. Maybe a res could be quickly found. I think he's just far enough in. He should be okay for it. And Na'Vi will be back to 3. But with the circle updating, once again, DA gets brought into question. I said, when do we start not scrutinizing, but paying more attention to them? When do we put the higher amount of consideration to what they're doing? Well, this is a great opportunity for them to show us what they're made of here. They've been given a great position. They played it well, and they've kept their cards close to their chest. But this will add potentially another winner to this who hasn't been able to double up. This is going to be a brand new winner. Same chance for maybe BBL in this as well. They've got a good position to an extent, but they've got a lot of teams in the north here. That's going to be a lot of attention their way because they are the first pit stop of working their way towards the south.
They have the prime territory. They have the prime building at the moment. Whether that changes with the circle shifts, we shall see. DA have only made, I believe it's top 3 once, thus yesterday and today. So to get a bit further than that and make it up to the upper echelons, maybe even get a win on the board, it makes things all that much more difficult going into Erangel. Or maybe even potentially easier, depending which way you want to look at it. One more win for any of these teams, and they jump straight into first position. Good old nade goes over. Vehicle blown up. Petralius is gone. Aimlow's going to carry on with this one. Working off the back of the momentum that they've been garnering over these last few games. James was giving him credit coming into the previous one, and it absolutely paid off. Smash is holding on with a breath of life, leans around the corner, and Danimon takes down another. Smash him for the heal, and so will Danimon too, but Artix does not take his foot off the gas. He wants to get this one going. He wants to keep it going, but as you've alluded to it, Na'Vi is here. The gas has to be relieved for all but a moment, as all of a sudden mxey's in the kill feed as well. So SMB go down and gives Liquid a tiny bit of land. Maybe some room to survive. Not for BBL, though. The reses will come through, but look at that. That big wall of smoke just sends the information Na'Vi's way. Come and get us, boys. We're hiding in here. First one falls a little bit too far, but the shots from DA suppress them for all but a moment. So TM should be able to recover from this.
Looking towards Exhalation and Liquid for a second as well. This is more south and east. Liquid shuffled away from Vanir and moved towards the eastern side. That's where you saw those kills being picked up on SMB. But Artix, playing out this dip, didn't go well for the team that you just wiped. So now Na'Vi gets to kind of keep them in this death bowl here. Nade's going to be just poured on in. He knows the angles that they're sitting on, but how do you close that gap? How do you get towards them? Well, you hope the Qwizzy doesn't see you. But he does. Sprays in and he claims aim. And now the further problems start to mount for TM. They know they're in such bad positions. And Molly's poured in. You don't escape. This is a death valley for TM. And Na'Vi get to just take him limb from limb. Danimon last one alive, and he's gone. Quick stuff from Na'Vi, clean as well. Look at what's remaining. 5 teams, 17 players, so a couple of chunks being taken out, but some big squads. A lot of 3s out in this. Na'Vi with 3, I think Vanir's with 3, Liquid with 3. Exhalation, I think, maybe still have 4 in this, actually. Yeah, they do. And then there's DA. the waiting giants in the background. Now, Jembty did just punish a little towards Na'Vi, so I want to see if Vanir try and further this forward. Kiano going to try and find a bit more. Qwizzy's been caught off, and now Na'Vi in dire straits.
The two teams with the most amount of players standing, the ones yet to put a win on the board. Example gets his ankles tickled, but it's not to be just yet. Smokes will go up and maybe whatever flashes he's got in case they're making an advancement coming this way. Vanir lose a player. So Jeemzz, alive and kicking, still making some noise, and that's because they are essentially held back by basically a wall. Like we've said it time and time again, the cover is good until so long that you have to come through for this one. He hits the wall. He needed that shot to connect, which allows Jeemzz to survive.
How's
get
Clib
into a position. But Clib's here. A low ball into the corner.
How has he done this?
Will be a disaster for Vanir. They're all boxed in at this point, but he's just body blocking. Like he can Oh, that's a shot and a half. BTM at distance. In with a knock, and instant on the flush. That spells disaster for Liquid because now they have to two-man this. But still, look at Vanir. Look at their position. They have to run this. There's only one way they can go.
Full send, baby. Let's go. They're in the vehicles. They're going right towards Jeemzz. Maybe a shot out of the car, but maybe they lose their life. Oh, he's just hunting and snaring them down. Yano gone, Yellow gone. Jeemzz welcomes it with open arms. And yes, there's still a player alive for Vanir, but what can he do about this now? Oh, all options now removed. Example, similar scenario. Has to send it in. Has to get moving. But now those sleeping giants begin to wake. Exhalation and DA playing from the south. Patiently waiting for their time. The north looking like it's resolving its issues. But look at this ridgeline. We've got the big boy green gun out. Just the bassy shots. Some say deeper than Yellow's voice. Not yet confirmed. Now, Liquid have to make their move. Rich, this has got to be that N4v4. Just DA exhalation. But, I mean, who comes out of this weird battle in the north now?
I'm sure we'll find out. The first one to fall will be Team Liquid, and you saw it just on the ridge line. DA will, if they're not careful, walk into a musket line, so to speak. I mean, 3 minis and an AWM staring them down. Yes, they... actually, it's DA that has to make the first move here. Na'Vi and Vanir to go down, which then would open us up to, yet again, 9 games done and 9 different winners. We've still got to get there yet. You know, I always think back to SKUIJKE pulling a 1 versus 4. We cast it, we saw it on Erangel, so anything can happen. But when you're seeing 2 teams of 4 lined up like this, we have to put the ball in their court. However, for those 2 teams in particular, they have to fight one another. For Na'Vi and Vanir, or Hjort, an example, it doesn't make sense for them to fight each other yet. So they could be smart about this and potentially wait it out, get involved individually rather than taking each other out simultaneously.
The terrain for DA is actually really rough. Exhalation have them so dead to rights at this point. I'm looking to see if they... Yeah, okay, so if they can get to that, like, over this little bit of a plateau that's just in front of them, it's super visible, they can just about find a dip, but you can see the damage. DA have to live through this. They have to suffer through this to try and find a position, and they don't. Jembty and PiXeL have been punished on the pull-up. Oh, dearie me, they're having a nightmare. It's just VOD. It ain't VOD for long. This is now down to 3. Vanir, Na'Vi, and Exhalation. Exhalation have every right to win this game. But example still stands. Hjort's still alive. 7 smokes. Well geared up, no nades, decent meds, they've got what they need. But Exhalation have the numbers, and they have the positioning.
Could have done with a shot, to be fair. Missed a few on that one with the example sticking out. He had all the time in the world to solidify it. All the smokes are up, and they're making the maneuver. The interesting factor is if Hjord and somehow example play off one another, I think he's forced to move into the open, which then puts him in a position for either example to deal with him or any of Exhalation. But ultimately, if you can get into a point where they don't kill one another, they can take this to a 2 versus 4 at least. But I think Hjort's numbers roll. He just doesn't have the circle in his favor. The arm's still lurking and lingering. I'll give him the 3 gear and allow him to at least peek out and maybe get some information. But with them in solo snakes, this is... There's no knocks here. It's 1 instant flush and all 4 of you just charge head on in. And potentially get another winner on the board, which sets us up for Erangel taking this down to the deciding moments.
Oh, he's just so screwed and he knows it. Sometimes there's little you can do, and now you're getting towards nade range. Oh, it's just in his pocket. Oh, BDM, just a heat-seeking missile sent towards your... And now example. Cheeky little bandage. Yeah, it's not feeling great right now. No smokes, no nades, no nothing. Not many hopes and dreams right now. It looks like Exhalation are on the verge of victory, and they are